The Mediterranean sun was rising over the whitewashed cliffs of Santorini, casting golden streaks across the calm sea. But for Ava Carter, the nightmare had already begun. She bolted upright in the plush hotel bed, heart racing, mouth dry. Something was wrong. The baby crib next to the bed was empty. No Isla. She scrambled to her feet. "Jason," she called, panic already gripping her throat. "Jason, where are you?" Silence. She checked the bathroom. Empty. The balcony. Nothing. The baby. Stroller. The diaper bag. Even Jason's suitcase. All gone. Ava's pulse thundered in her ears. Her 6-month-old daughter and her fiancés had vanished overnight, just 1 week ago. Ava thought this trip would change everything. They had been struggling. Jason's temper had grown shorter, his work schedule heavier, and Ava, sleep-deprived, still recovering from postpartum depression, had been clinging to the hope that some sun in space would fix what therapy hadn't. Jason had agreed to the trip with a strange enthusiasm. Ava booked the flights with shaking hands. Too grateful to question it, they arrived in Santorini 5 days ago, and now her entire world had disappeared in the night. She rushed downstairs, barefoot, her heart slamming with every step. The concierge, a young Greek woman named Eleni, smiled when she saw Ava. "Miss Carter, is everything all right?" "My baby's missing," Ava gasped, "and my fiancé's Jason, he's gone." Eleni blinked. "You, ... checked out yesterday morning. Don't you remember?" Ava froze. "What are you talking about?" "You came down with Mr. Morris and the baby," Eleni said. "He paid in cash. You left your key. I watched you get in a taxi." "That's impossible," Ava snapped. "I was here. I just woke up in my room." But when security reviewed the footage, the grainy screen showed her same clothes, same stroller, walking out with Jason and the baby. But she had no memory of it. She stared at the screen in horror. "That's not right. That's not me." The police arrived an hour later. Ava was trembling. She tried to explain everything: Jason's controlling behavior, his short temper, his paranoia about Ava losing it after the baby. "Sometimes she sees things," he'd once told their couples counselor, smiling like he was covering for her. "She doesn't sleep. Sometimes she forgets." But Ava had never forgotten this. "She's mine," Ava said, voice shaking. "He can't take her. He can't." The officers exchanged looks. "She's not married to the father," one whispered in Greek. "Could be a custody issue." They called Interpol, but days passed. No word, no leads. No Jason. Ava stayed in the hotel, pacing the same room where Isla had once cooed in her crib. She called Jason's mother in Maine. "He's not there," she said. She called his best friend. Voicemail. She tried calling Jason's phone again. Still disconnected. On day 4, she heard a knock at the door. A white envelope lay on the floor. No name, just a flash drive inside. She plugged it into her laptop, hands shaking. The screen lit up with video. Ava's own voice. "Hi, I'm Ava Carter. I'm giving full custody of Isla to her father, Jason Morris. I am unstable and unfit. I understand the consequences of my decision." Her hands flew to her mouth. She was sitting in the hotel chair, same room, same curtains, but she had no memory of ever filming it. She checked the timestamps. The video was dated 2 nights ago. It made no sense. She called the embassy again. "My baby was kidnapped. Please." They were kind, but skeptical. They had the footage, the video. Jason's name was now flagged, but he had used a fake passport to leave the country. With Isla. Ava was alone. That night, she didn't sleep. She tore the room apart, in the closet. Behind a loose panel, she found a notebook. Jason's handwriting. Page after page of meticulous planning. March 3rd, drug her wine. March 5th, film her statement. March 6th, leave early. Pay cash, no trace. March 8th, she won't remember. She never does. Her blood turned to ice. Fragments of that night came back to her like stabs of lightning. Jason handing her a glass of wine. A warm fuzziness. Slow blinking. Him whispering something while adjusting the camera. Just say it, Ava. You know it's true. Her voice, repeating his lines. The world melting into darkness. She'd been drugged, used, betrayed. He'd taken everything and left her doubting her own mind. Ava stopped waiting for the police. She booked a cheap flight to a country Jason had once joked about disappearing to. Thailand. She sold her engagement ring. She used a false name. She arrived in Phuket 2 weeks later, exhausted and afraid, but focused. She didn't go to the police. She went to the dark corners of the internet, hired a fixer, paid him in Bitcoin. I need to find someone who doesn't want to be found. She showed him the notebook. He raised an eyebrow. Looks like he had help. It wasn't just Jason, it was his sister, Mia. Ava found a trail, money transfers, fake accounts. Jason had been planning to vanish with Isla for months. He wanted Ava out of the picture permanently. Maybe not killed, but locked away, declared unfit, forgotten. But Ava found them. Bangkok, a private villa. Isla was there, alive, smiling, and Ava waited until Jason left for a jog. She broke in, through the back. Mia screamed when she saw her. Ava didn't hesitate. She pepper sprayed her and locked her in a closet. Isla cried when she saw Ava, but the moment their eyes met, she calmed. She remembered her. Jason came back minutes later, cocky, tan, wearing headphones. Ava stood in the hallway, holding Isla. Jason froze. You're not supposed to be here. Ava raised the taser she'd bought from a night market vendor. You're not supposed to be a father. Jason was arrested 2 hours later. Mia too. Interpol had been quietly tracking the case, thanks to Ava's own embassy filing. She had unknowingly laid the groundwork, and once she made contact from Thailand, the pieces fell. 2 months later, back in the States, Ava sat in a therapist's office. Isla slept in a carrier beside her. She spoke softly. I thought I was losing my mind, but it turns out I was just being gaslit by someone I trusted most. The therapist nodded. Ava looked out the window. Now I'm learning to trust myself again. We just wanted something quiet, peaceful. But the silence inside that house wasn't natural. It was watching us. It was supposed to be a birthday trip. Erin surprised her husband, Mark, with a private rental in the Blue Ridge Mountains, a cozy A-frame cabin tucked deep in the trees, 2 hours from the nearest town. No phone service, no neighbors, just the 2 of them. Mark had been working 70-hour weeks as a trauma nurse in Atlanta. Erin thought nature might be the only thing that could soften the hard edges forming between them. They arrived late in the afternoon, headlights sweeping across the pine-lined gravel road. The cabin was as pictured, rustic, beautiful, silent. Too silent. The house was cold when they entered. Erin wrapped her arms around herself. It's just old, Mark said, turning on the fireplace. But she noticed his hand was trembling. Inside, the furniture looked vintage, too vintage. Not antique, not modern, just wrong. The windows were nailed shut from the outside. The mirrors were covered with sheets. And in the bedroom, there were scratch marks on the wooden headboard. Deep ones. Maybe someone had a dog, Erin offered, trying to sound casual. But neither of them slept that night, because the footsteps began around 3 a.m. above them. But the house only had 1 floor. In the morning, they chalked it up to animals, old pipes, the wind. They hiked, drank wine, pretended to smile. But that night, Erin woke up on the floor, fully dressed. The curtains were wide open, though they'd shut them tight before bed. Mark was still in bed, snoring, but something about his face looked wrong, pale, too still. She shook him. His eyes opened, but they didn't recognize her. Not at first. Then he blinked. Why are you standing there? He whispered. I was on the floor. You were next to me 5 seconds. ago. They both looked at the clock. For hours had passed. On day 3, Erin's phone finally connected to Wi-Fi, but only for a second. Just long enough to get one unsent video to upload. She didn't remember recording it in the footage. She's standing in front of the bathroom mirror, staring blankly, whispering, "We shouldn't have come here. It's not a house, it's something else pretending to be one." Behind her, a shadow slithers past the open door. She ends the recording. Mid-sentence. It knows when where. The screen cuts to black dot. She drops the phone. "Mark, we need to go." Mark refuses to leave. At first he agrees. He packs. He even loads the car. But when Erin comes back with their phones and chargers, Mark is sitting inside again, eyes glassy, unpacking everything. "Mark, what are you doing?" He looks at her with a crooked smile. "We're supposed to stay." "You told me that." "No, I didn't." "You did last night." "I was asleep last night." His expression changes. "You were, until you started talking in your sleep, telling me to open the mirror." "What mirror?" He points to the bathroom. Erin turns. The mirror is no longer covered, and across the glass, a message is scratched in reverse. "Don't trust him." She finds it under the couch, a small leather-bound GUESTBOOK. No names, just pages of unsettling entries. "Left on day 2. My wife screamed at something I couldn't see. Still here breathing under the bed. Why does my reflection blink after I stop? She's not my wife anymore. She wears her face, but it's not her. I can't leave. I tried. The road doesn't lead out. If you're reading this, burn the house." She slams the book shut, runs outside. The car is gone. Erin runs down the dirt road barefoot, bleeding, screaming Mark's name. No answer, just trees. She keeps going for what feels like hours. Finally, she sees a light, a ranger station, a house. She bursts through the door. It's the cabin. She's back where she started, but this time, the front door is already open. She walks in slowly. Trembling Mark is sitting at the table, smiling. The mirrors are all uncovered now. Her reflection looks confused, afraid, but she's not yet. That night, Erin hears voices through the walls. She's waking up again. She still thinks she can leave. Should we show her the truth this time? In the morning, the cabin looks different. New furniture. A birthday banner that says Happy 35th, Erin. She's not 35, she's 32. Mark hugs her. "You had a bad night," he says. "You screamed something about burning the house again." She blinks out again. Her reflection watches her in the mirror, but doesn't move. That night, she waits until Mark falls asleep. She soaks the floor with vodka, throws a blanket in the fire, carries it through the house. The flames catch fast, the shadows, and the corners start to move, screaming. Melting. Mark wakes up, coughing. "You said you'd never leave me again." "I never came here with you," she shouts. "Whatever you are, you're not him." She runs out as the house blazes behind her. The sky looks different. The trees are wilting. Something screams inside the fire. Not human. The house groans, like it's breathing, then collapses. Erin wakes up in a hospital in Asheville. An older woman is sitting beside her. Who are you?" Erin asks. The woman smiles. "I'm your sister, remember?" Erin shakes her head. The woman's smile fades. "You disappeared for almost a month," she says. "They found you unconscious in the woods. Said you were screaming about a house that didn't exist." Erin blinks. She tries to remember. The cabin. Mark. Mirrors. Was any of it real? Or had she hallucinated the whole thing? Then the nurse brings in her belongings. A guest book, burnt around the edges, with one phrase scrawled across the last page in her own handwriting. "If you're reading this, don't rent the house on Hollow-Pine Road." Rain fell softly on the beaches of Tulum as Mia Connors sat alone at a candlelit table, staring into a plate of untouched seafood. She was still in her wedding dress, A pale blue sundress now clung to her knees. Soaked and forgotten, her new husband Adam had gone to get drinks from the bar an hour ago and never came back. It was day 2 of their honeymoon. They'd been married for less than 72 hours. At first, she assumed it was just a delay. Maybe the bartender was busy. Maybe he ran into someone. Maybe he was just being Adam flirty. Distracted, but the minutes turned to hours. She asked the hotel staff. No one had seen him. His phone was off. His wallet still in the hotel room, but his passport was missing. They'd met 9 months earlier. He was tall, charming, full of witty sarcasm, a travel writer with a crooked smile, and stories about waterfalls in Iceland and strange festivals. In India, Mia had never dated anyone like him. Her past was filled with safe, forgettable men. Adam was an adventure. He swept her off her feet. Spontaneous proposals, late-night road trips, sunrise breakfasts, on rooftops. She'd said yes. In Paris. They eloped 3 weeks later. No one from her side questioned it. She'd always been impulsive now, sitting alone in a honeymoon suite built for 2. She felt like the fool. No one warned. The next morning she reported him missing. The local police were kind, but slow. He probably left, the officer said, in a heavy accent. It happens. Honeymoons bring out truths. But he didn't take his things, or tell me anything. The officer shrugged. Sometimes, they don't. That night, Mia searched his luggage. Inside the lining of his suitcase, she found a hidden zipper, and behind it a wallet with a different ID. Not Adam Connors, but Ryan Abel, age 37, from Cleveland. A completely different name. Her hands shook. She called the US Embassy. That's when things spiraled. The embassy rep confirmed what she feared. There was no record of an Adam Connors. No passport. No license. No birth certificate. The marriage certificate was real, but his name on it was fake. Whoever he was, he had crafted an entire identity. And she had walked right into it. His fingerprints, they told her, matched an open FBI case from 2 years ago. Ryan Abel was wanted for fraud. A string of disappearances tied to a woman in Oregon, another in Costa Rica. Are you saying I'm not his first? We think you're the only one who made it out, the agent said. 2 days later, a manila envelope was slipped under her door. No return address. Inside a USB stick, she plugged it into her laptop with trembling hands. The screen flickered. Adam or Ryan sat in their hotel room, smiling, calm. I knew you'd find this eventually, he said, which means I'm gone. But here's the truth. I never meant to hurt you. I meant to vanish. That was the plan. But then I met you. He laughed softly. I started to care, and that's where I messed up. So I'm disappearing before it gets worse. You'll be fine. You always were. The video ended. She stared at her reflection in the black screen. What did he mean, before it gets worse? That night, she had a panic attack. She ran down the hotel hall, barefoot and crying. The night manager caught her just before she collapsed. They called in a therapist the next morning. His name was Xel, Dr. Salgado, a gentle Mexican man with kind eyes and a voice like a lullaby. She told him everything, and he just sat silently for a long moment, then asked, Mia, are you sure you came here with someone? What? Staff say they never saw him? Cameras never recorded a second person. Only you. That's not possible. He was here. We slept in this room together. Dr. Salgado looked at her with deep sympathy, then pulled out a tablet and showed her photos. Every picture she took on the trip. She was alone. Selfies, romantic dinners, tours all, with no one sitting across from her. Even their wedding photo. Just her, in a white dress, holding a bouquet, smiling at no one. She demanded security footage. A blur of hotel hallways, restaurants, beaches, always her, always alone. In one video, she's seen holding hands with thin air. In another, toasting an invisible man in the hallway. Footage She's arguing, but she's talking to herself. Her mouth moves, her hands gesture, but she's the only person there. That night, she finds a voice recording on her phone. It's her own voice, hoarse and trembling. If I don't wake up from this, tell them I wasn't crazy. He was real. I know he was. I remember his smell, the way he laughed. I remember everything. That doesn't come from nothing. But then another voice whispers, faint and layered under hers. Or maybe you made me up because you couldn't handle the last time someone left. She throws the phone across the room. She doesn't sleep that night. In the morning, her sister calls. Mia, come home please. Back in Boston, a psychiatrist reviews her file. She had a psychotic break 3 years ago, after her fiancé died. In a boating accident, a man named Adam Connors. He drowned before they could marry. The grief had swallowed her whole. She had stopped speaking, moved into her parents' house, gone through intensive therapy, recovered somewhat, and then vanished for 3 weeks to TULUM.2, a resort she had booked under her own name. Alone, now lives in a quiet apartment in Maine. She writes travel blogs, still dreams of him. Sometimes, she swears she feels his hand brush her hair in the night. Other times, she finds her door unlocked in the morning, or music playing that she doesn't remember starting, but she doesn't tell anyone, because she still can't answer the one question that matters. Was he a lie her mind made up to protect her, or was he real and she just wasn't supposed to remember the end? On her dresser is a photo. It's blank, but sometimes, in just the right lighting, she sees a man smiling beside her. It started with a whispered tip from a stranger at the bar. "You want real paradise," he said, eyes scanning the crowd behind him. There's an island off the coast of Malaysia, no tourists, no resorts, just nature. Locals won't go, but that's what keeps it magic. Cameron and his girlfriend, Leah, had already backpacked through Thailand, Bali, and Vietnam. They were running out of places that hadn't been Instagrammed to death, so when the man slid them a napkin with a hand-sketched map and coordinates, they didn't ask questions, they just booked a local charter. The island wasn't on any map, but it was real. They arrived just after sunrise. Dense jungle, black sand beaches, mist rolling low over the treetops, no docks, no people, no noise, not even birds. The boatman refused to stay. He dropped them off with a single warning in broken English: 3 days only. Then I come, be ready. Then he was gone. They stood in silence. Cameron laughed nervously. I feel like we just stepped into Jurassic Park. Leah smiled, but her fingers were twitching. They pitched a tent near the beach, lit a fire, and explored the jungle trails, which seemed carved by animals, not humans. No signals, no GPS, just demand the island. That night, something walked past their tent, slow, heavy steps. Leah bolted upright, shaking Cameron awake. They held their breath, crunch, crunch, then silence. In the morning they found footprints barefoot, but wide and webbed, not human. Leah wanted to leave. Cameron brushed it off. Could have been a boar or a big cat, but the prints had toes, 5 of them, and claws. On day 2, deeper in the jungle, they found it. A clearing dot in the center, a pile of stones covered in white cloth strips, bones, and broken mirrors. Leah whispered, "Is it some kind of altar?" Cameron stepped forward and lifted a strip of cloth. Names were written in ink. Over 30 of them. Some were American, some weren't. Some had the word lost next to them. He dropped the cloth and backed away. But Leah was staring at something behind him. Another stone, newer than the rest, with his name already etched into it. Cameron Hill, lowest that night. The fire wouldn't light. Their matches were soaked. Their lighter was gone. Everything felt colder. Even though the island was tropical, the air around them was freezing. Cameron stared out at the ocean. Shapes moved in the water pail, slow, swaying like fabric under current. Leah saw them too. "Cameron," she whispered, "are those people?" The shapes stood, even from a distance. They could see their eyes glowed. Leah screamed in the night. Cameron found her shaking, curled in the sand. She'd seen her brother dead for 6 years, standing at the edge of the jungle. He was smiling, holding out his hand. "You're tired, aren't you?" he'd said. "Come rest, just for a minute." But when she reached out, his face changed. Then he disappeared. Cameron tried to comfort her, but behind his eyes, he saw something to dot his father, telling him it was okay, telling him to stay. In the final hours before dawn, they tried to flee, inland. They ran through twisting paths. Everything looped back. They were being herded by what they didn't know. But the mirrors they found in the shrine began appearing in the jungle, nailed to trees. And when they looked into them, they didn't see themselves. They saw versions. Sick, hollow, empty, as if the island had already taken pieces of them. On the final morning, Leah found a body at the water's edge. Female, bloated, eroded by time, wearing her exact clothes, same necklace, same tattoo on the wrist. It was her. Cameron stared, paralyzed. "What if we're not the first versions of us who came here?" she asked quietly. "What if the island keeps taking, again and again, until we forget who we were?" He wanted to say it was crazy, but she was right. He remembered seeing the name. Leah Miles lost on one of the cloth strips, just like his. The boat returned at sunrise, just as promised. But the man didn't smile. He stared at them with wide eyes, like they weren't quite real. You're not supposed to come back." "What do you mean?" Cameron asked. "People don't return from this island. I only ever come back for bones." He didn't want to let them aboard, but Leah held up the broken mirror they'd taken. "Tell me," she said. "What is this place?" The man crossed himself. "This is where spirits go when they can't let go. It's not for the living." They returned to Kuala Lumpur 2 days later, but everything felt distant. People passed through them like fog. Cameron's reflection didn't always match his movements. Leah stopped sleeping, and then the dreams began. Of the island, of the shrine, of the mirrors watching them. Weeks later, Leah disappeared. No note, no trace, no footage, just a single item left on her bed. The mirror. Cameron now lives alone in New Zealand. He doesn't speak of the island, but every year, on the same date, he receives a package, always the same, one strip of white cloth, one name written on it. Last year, it said, Leah Miles, Lost. This year, it said, Cameron Hill, Ramim. Bay doesn't know if it's a warning or a call to return, but some nights, in the mirror, he sees the beach behind him and hears her voice whisper, "You never really left." Rachel didn't mean to book a motel. She was aiming for the boutique lodge next door, but by the time her rideshare pulled up, it was too late, and something about the Silver Motel sign flickering under the desert moon made her hesitate. Rosapine Suites, no website, no reviews, no guests. The front desk clerk, a thin man in a cardigan too warm for Nevada, smiled too hard when she walked in. Room 6, one night only. That's what you picked. She didn't remember choosing that, but she was too tired to argue. Room 6 looked frozen in time, 1970s wallpaper. Yellow curtains. A rotary phone bolted to the wall. No TV, no Wi-Fi, no USB plugs. The nightstand held a single Bible, with pages torn out, and inside the bathroom mirror, Rachel saw something impossible. A blurry figure standing behind her. Even though she was alone, she spun around. Nothing. She left the bathroom light on all night. At 3:14 a.m., the phone rang. Rachel stared at it for a long time. Finally, she picked up static. Then a voice, female, whispering, "Don't trust the room. You'll forget who you are." Click. She checked the call log. Nothing in the mirror. Her reflection was delayed, 3 seconds behind her movements. The next morning, she heard banging from beneath the floor. She knelt by the bed and knocked. The banging stopped, then 3 knocks back. She pried up a floorboard. Beneath it was a small space, dark, dusty, and inside, a journal wrapped in plastic. On the cover, one name, Grace Whitmorth. The entries were desperate, messy, slipping into madness. This motel isn't real. It feeds off memory. I've been here 3 days, I think, or weeks. I keep forgetting. Each night, the room shows me someone I love. I want to believe they're real, but I know they're not. If you're reading this, don't talk to the man in the mirror. He lies. Rachel packed to leave, but the front desk clerk was gone, and her car wasn't in the lot. Neither was the rideshare app on her phone. Even her own name on the ID looked faded, like it was slowly erasing. She ran back to room 6. There was a knock on the door. A man stood outside, middle-aged, warm eyes, familiar. Dad. Her father had died 4 years ago, but there he was, same plaid shirt, same kind smile. You came back, he said. You remembered? Her legs buckled. She wanted to believe, but then he blinked, and his eyes changed. Black, flat. He whispered, "You're mine now." Rachel smashed the mirror with a lamp. It shattered, but revealed another room behind. It got an exact copy of room 6, only covered in vines, dirt, and photos. Hundreds of them, all of people. Men, women, children, all in room 6. Some were screaming, some were smiling, most looked vacant, soulless. In the back corner, a photo of Grace Whitmore was pinned beside a journal entry. They let you leave, but they keep your mind. Rachel backed away and saw herself, a photo, on the wall, eyes dull, wearing today's clothes. It had already been taken. She bolted out the door, ran across the empty highway, into the desert, kept running until her lungs burned, until she collapsed under the sun. Then, headlights. A van, she screamed, waved her arms. It stopped. A couple stepped out. Tourists, are you okay? She cried. Please, take me anywhere. Anywhere but here. They helped her into the van, as it pulled away. Rachel looked back, and saw Rosepini Suites shrinking behind her. But the sign had changed. Now it read, "Welcome, Grace." Rachel sits in her apartment in San Francisco. She drinks chamomile tea now, sees a therapist twice a week. She doesn't tell anyone the truth, that she sometimes wakes up in a cold sweat, convinced she's still there, that mirrors don't show her face quite right anymore, and her ID, it now says Grace Whitmore. She goes to the DMV, tries to explain the error. The clerk frowns. "This is your original ID. You've always been Grace." She shows her driver's license photo. Her face is there, but the background is room 6. She returns to Nevada. She doesn't know why. She finds the stretch of highway where the motel once stood, but now there's nothing, just sand, dust, wind, no buildings, no foundations. She digs, until her fingers bleed. Then she finds it. One object buried just below the surface, a photograph of her, smiling behind her room 6, and written on the back in shaky handwriting, "You don't leave Rosepini, you just forget you're still in it. Not every prison has bars. Some just erase who you used to be, one memory at a time." The end.